Lago's survival story is nothing short of amazing. She had it all. She was living the California dream with her husband, her 2 kids, and then a random accident changed the course of her life forever. She's now detailed her journey in her new book, True Grit and Grace, Turning Tragedy into Triumph. And boy, is that true in her case. Here is Amberly Lago's story. Watch.
You know, finally, I had the man of my dreams. We had a baby. My oldest daughter was 13. And just life was good.
A wife, mother, fitness model, and personal trainer, Amberly Lago was living the California dream.
And I felt like the rug was pulled out from underneath me. Just in an instant, everything was changed.
911.
Hi, there's an accident on Ventura Boulevard. A girl came on her motorcycle, just totally got smashed.
Does she need paramedics?
She needs paramedics. Her leg is twisted up and there's like some out of the helmet.
A truck hit the motorcycle Amberly was riding.
I immediately had pain. And I looked down at my leg and just held onto my leg, and it was just crumbled into pieces. It was like one of those scary movies where you see every beat of your heart, the pulsing, the blood was coming out every beat. And I thought, oh, when people started approaching me, that's when I started to realize something, this might be more serious than I think, because they didn't run to me, they kind of walked and stopped and stood in place, and one lady fainted.
Amberly's husband, John, a retired police lieutenant, arrived quickly.
And I heard this just like wailing, and I was like, what is that? And it was my husband. And I said, Johnny, I need you to get over here and be strong for me. And the last thing I remember before they put me in induced coma was he held my hand, and the nurse said, we're going to give you something to make you feel all better now.
While Amberly was in a coma, doctors asked John if they could amputate her leg. He refused.
He said, when she wakes up out of a coma, I want her to be the one to make the decision on whether or not her leg is going to be amputated. I want her to have 2 legs when she wakes up.
Amberly's femoral artery was severed and her leg shattered, and the chance of saving it, just 1%. Amberly would spend 3 months in the hospital, and she underwent 34 surgeries. But nothing could keep her down. Amberly Lago, come on out. Thank you for coming. All right, so I know you want to hear about Amberly, and so do I, because the real story is not actually the accident. It is what happened on the road to recovery that is amazing. That's next. We're here now with Amberly Lago, whose life was forever changed when her motorcycle collided with an SUV. Against medical advice, she refused to allow doctors to amputate her heavily damaged leg, fought through countless surgeries and physical therapy. And she writes about all of this and overcoming that adversity in her book, True Grit and Grace, Turning Tragedy into Triumph. She knows of what she writes. Amberly, 34 surgeries. The pain on a scale of 1 to 10 that you went through in the recovery was what?
I would say about a 12.
So it was off. It was off the charts.
It was awful. Yeah, it was awful. And I thought the pain, I thought, well, it's going to get better. And, growing up, I was taught to push through the pain and suck it up and cowgirl up. And so I just thought this is part of it. I think being an athlete and a dancer my whole life kind of helped me to keep sucking it up and move forward. But the pain was just horrible every day.
I know the doctor said, he showed you a saltine cracker. Is that what he said? There was basically to try to explain what had happened to your leg. Can you explain that?
He was in the cafeteria, my husband, and he ran into my doctor who saved my leg. And he was eating a bowl of soup, and he grabbed a saltine cracker, and he broke it. And he said, John, this is what a break is. And he crumbled the cracker, and it fell, and he said, this is what your wife has. So basically, it was crushed. It was completely shattered.
Which is why they really thought that you should amputate it. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you choose that? A lot of people live with a prosthetic and they do just fine.
You know, to me, it was just never a choice in my mind. I think because I was a dancer my whole life, and then a fitness trainer in the fitness industry, and a big runner, and I ran every day, and running was that was my go-to. That was my therapy. That was my drug of choice. That's what I always turned to. And I thought, how would I do that? You know, I know there are plenty of people out there that do run. They're Olympians. But for me, I just wanted to keep my leg. I just wanted to.
So all these surgeries later, 34 surgeries, tons of pain throughout the process. You grit it out. Then you find out you have something called complex regional pain syndrome, which they call suicide disease because
there's no known cure. It leaves you in constant chronic pain, and the pain is ranked higher on the pain scale than anything, than, you know, passing a kidney stone, than childbirth. It's ranked higher, and there's no known cure. So you're left every day, if you're in a flare-up, especially in constant chronic pain. And so people, once they find out, you know, that they're going to live the rest of their lives that way, a lot of times people slowly kill themselves with, you know, drugs or alcohol, or they take their lives right then and there.
this chronic pain is not only incredibly painful, obviously, to deal with, but it can cause great depression. It can just cause depression. And I know you suffered that as well. So how, you know, turning tragedy into triumph, how do you get past that? Because I think a lot of us would not be able to.
Yeah, you know, I was in a really dark place, and I think we all have that light inside of us, and for me, mine was getting really dim, and I think it was God's grace that got me through. I got on my knees and I prayed. I needed help, and I reached out to people for support, but I thought, you know, I have a choice here. I can either go down that road of despair and self-pity and depression, or I can make this better, make a life for myself. And so I got a notepad that I had, and I just started writing everything I was grateful for. And whether that be that it was, you know, in the hospital, that I had a view from the hospital room, but I wrote everything I was grateful for. I wrote down the nurses' names that came in to check on me, my husband, my family, my clients.
Everyone says that gratitude journal really works. Everybody says that works.
It works.
Can I ask you, because I know at some point you thought, did I make the right choice? Maybe I could just, you know, I'm in so much pain, just take it now. Now I will go for the prosthetic. And they said no, that you would still have this disease. You would still have complex regional pain syndrome, even if they took the leg now. Why? How can that be?
Well, I got to the point where I thought, I'm in so much pain. You know what? I made it through all these surgeries only to just be in constant pain. You know, I was so proud to be upright and walking, and I thought when I learned that it's not going to get better, I said, just take it, just amputate it. And they said, we can't do that. It's in your sympathetic nervous system. So for lack of a better term, it's like a computer that needs to be rebooted. So I have had every kind of treatment, from a spinal cord stimulator where they put metal leads in your spine, which it didn't work for me. I had...
They've tried to manage it, but it's not... I mean, really, at this point for you, it's mind over matter.
It's a lot of mind over matter. So mindfulness, for sure, practicing mindfulness.
And listen, so it's like a lot of our viewers are going to be patients who are chronic pain patients. And you read this book, because there's no way she doesn't get what you're going through with the 34 surgeries and the ongoing, you know, the suicide disease. It's a terrible term. And maybe there's hope. You know, if you can get through what you describe as like fire ants all over your leg on a daily basis, what else could you handle? What can the human spirit take and still be beautiful in every sense of the word? Amberly, thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you.
Good luck to you. Good luck. Good luck with the book as well. We'll be right back.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.